Miroslav Kulla and Andrej Majoros were the names of our last keynote speakers. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi.
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 You have to share the microphone. Okay, so don't forget to share it. My first question is, I was looking at the technology. Does the customer need to identify the devices, or do you do it some automatically?
Well, you have basically two options. One option is, the system itself identifies the devices based on basically some patterns, they can recognize. But of course, if you want to fine-tune your very specific profile, then it's better to just put in some data about your household, about usage, or some basically equipment you have, and then it gets more precise.
And do you come to the house, or how does the customer do it? I would look like I would just click on the icon, like turn on the refrigerator, and you plug in the refrigerator. Now turn on the entertainment, and you plug in the entertainment, or how does it work?
Yeah, no, it's actually all automatic, so you don't have to actually play so much with the hardware itself. It's basically recognizing the smart meter data that we automatically get, and that from those meter data, it recognizes the patterns of different equipment. So actually, you don't have to do anything; it's already embedded in the data, and only really if there is a specific profile, or you want to kind of fine tune the analysis, then you just insert the data into the system, but physically you don't really play with the equipment. You don't have to turn off anything.
Where did this idea come from that you want to show people different appliances, and how does the power consumption break up into each thing? Did the customers ask for that, or you just saw there's a software that can do that? I know that some of the providers do, like you can rent some measure plug for your home, and the people want to know how much does this eat, or how much energy does this consume. So where did it come from? Did it come from inside the company, or did it come from the customers?
I would say both. So first of all, we have identified the issue with the energy, utility companies as such, that they are for quite a long time, providing rather simple and commodity-based service, which is actually not adding so much value anymore. Once everybody has electricity or gas or any kind of the energy, then it gets boring, right? So it flows, and if it functions, then what is the value added for the customer anymore? So we're thinking how to actually become more attractive, yeah. And from this old-fashioned business, we can create more value for the customers, and we ask them, and they reply. And the reply was very simple, and contrary to our original business, they have said, well, you as a utility company, you should help us to save on the energy bill. So actually not to that we use more electricity, but less electricity. So that was the first idea. Of course, they have much more needs. We can talk about later, but this was the first idea, actually how to get, to specific patterns of customers and help the customers save, because we should be the experts on energy usage, and they are the consumers which want to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand. Let's take a look at the Slido questions. We have a lot of questions for you by our viewers, and you still can add some questions. So if you're watching now and you want to ask something, there's still time. Question number 1, does the Bridgely service require a smart meter to be installed or other hardware? Can you share number of customers that use this service? So first of all, do you need any special hardware to use Bridgely?
I'll ask Andrej to reply these questions to Bridgely.
So the specific hardware that you need is really the smart meter, which is being installed in homes by distribution companies. But in terms of the actual service, in order for it to function properly, you don't need any hardware at all. It's literally just the data that we need, and the solution that Bridgely actually offers. It's all embedded in the software, and how they actually calculate and break down or disaggregate the data itself.
Do you want to give us the numbers of people who use it?
We have quite a number of people using it at this point.
Quite a number is 100,000, 10,000, tens?
I
want to
can't
know if you.
disclose specific numbers.
Okay. Never mind. Okay, next question. Hello, Miro. Thanks for the presentation. What was the impact of COVID crisis on the VSE customer service? Yeah, did you have any problems? People are working from home. You cannot castigate them at work, and so what happened? How did it go?
I think for all the industries and customers themselves, this was a kind of quick learning how to become digital. So I think both, in talks to customers and both internal operations, had to switch very quickly to a distant mode. So people being at home offices from any department, including the customer service. So people not sitting in call center, but sitting at home and picking up the phones or chatting or whatever. So I think it went very quickly. Of course, the demands are here. The customers still, use the electricity as before. So we had to change the operations to let's say this kind of digital environment or distant mode of operation without being really physically in touch with customers.
Mm-hmm. So everything went well, no breakdowns.
No, I think it was quite smooth. I have to say as well that, of course, as everybody, we are not only the providers, we are as well the customers, or we are the, let's say, people. As anybody else, you can recognize your behavior has changed. So what we saw as well, there was a little bit lower number of demands and lower number of transactions. Of course, people were dealing with different issues than solving the electricity or any other supply. So that way it was smooth. Yeah. So we had some time, to really change the operations and somehow covered through this lower usage or lower number of contact with customers. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Another question. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for your presentation. Is optimization with ElectroZoom also available for businesses to use in their offices or workplace?
At the moment, not. So what we do is really this profiling. It happens only in households. So for the moment, we only provide it for the residential segment. Yeah. So it's not really. Houses are very similar, and their behavior is very similar. With businesses, we do it differently. And for the business, it's not really digital. We combine it with the energy auditors, so physical persons and experts, because it's much more specific, and you have to go much more into detail. Etc. So it's not used as a digital platform for businesses as such.
Mm-hmm. So, but you have some solutions for businesses, because I would realize when I run a business, I may be running a building, I may be running machinery, maybe a huge office with hundreds of computers with air condition. So, is there a way how you can smartly help people with businesses too?
Of course, but this is, as I said, once for a residential segment of households, you do it through data themselves, So it's and then you go into detail once you identify the pattern, which is very specific, or something is happening in the household based on the number of benchmarks and through AI. For the business, you do it the other way around. You actually come to a specific business physically, or you look at the data which are very specific to the customer. You analyze it, and look at the technology. You come to the place. You see what is the heating, what is the lighting technology, etc. And then once you actually see there is potential to save on energy or on some failures of the equipment, then you actually start to maybe put some sensors, into the building, or then you basically look into the software and you start to kind of analyze and monitor the data for some period. So you rather start a different way. You do the energy audit as such, and by the auditing, then you decide the next steps, because the solutions for business can be much more expensive. And before any investment is necessary, somebody has to judge it, what is good at that point.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Hello, and thanks for your keynote. What other ways of integrating AI to their customer service is VSE planning to in the future? Oh yeah, that's a good question. You already have some experience with the AI. What's next?
I would say, of course, even though we are not a small company, but we are not a giant. So I would say we first want to do one thing right. So even though we have several ideas, I would now not really say, this is really some time to market. So this is already working. I want to first, prove that it really helps the customers and people enjoy it. And even though now we have, let's say, few tens of thousands customers, now a complete Andrei, where we meter the data. It's really based on smart metering, so it's as well the number of smart meters in Slovakia that it's determining the quality of the service. And then, we see what is the interest and how much is accepted by the market itself, So I would say rather now the quality of what we provide and how we interact with the customer is now much more our focus than implementing 10 new services. Yeah?
I know that you're specializing in sales, Miro, but yesterday we spoke about here in the panel discussion, we spoke about how you can use the smart meters to predict where a failure will come, how you can find the failure really faster. Is it really true that you can use the smart meters to localize the failure because the customers on phone aren't that much precise? Sometimes it's a problem in their house, not part of the distribution network. Is that how you use software too?
This is exactly how it can be used. So one thing is that you profile the customer from the data and you see some unusual behavior of the customer or some equipment, and that's the start. So as Andrei showed us the example of a very specific behavior or certain old boiler, that suddenly increased the consumption of the household. That's exactly the triggering point that something is going wrong. And the equipment as such was still operating, and without actually the service, the customer would not know till it breaks or till they spend maybe 3 times more for energy, than before, and you find it out, a few months later. So it's for both. One thing is to avoid some kind of energy leakage or higher consumption. Second, it predicts, to some extent, the failures of equipment. It typically, changes the pattern. And you can see that some device was behaving in some category. For example, it's a fridge, and you see it, and suddenly changes the category, starts to behave very funny way, and then you look for that equipment. So that's exactly how it works.
Okay, thank you. Next question from one of our viewers. Thank you for the interesting topic. How did you come up with the equation S equals NEC squared?
Squared, exactly. The square is the good one. Well, this is what I said in my speech, and we have started with the technology, and honestly, we had as well a few failures, and that's exactly because we were focusing on the technology itself, and we also talk about investments and what the data, how to get it and what to do with it, etc. But we're not focusing on the real thing, and that's exactly how we found out, So first of all, as I said, in any engaged discussion, engaged couple, engaged inform, etc. First of all, it's how interesting for the person the topic is. Yeah, somebody's interested in money, somebody's interested in security, somebody's interested in something else, and you have to find out. Yeah? So that's the first thing. Like all the needs of humans, and we are very different. Specific needs what we have. First, we have to find out. So that was really the start, and then you can use it for the from the data or not. But that's otherwise it doesn't work. Then technology is for nothing. Yeah, if it goes totally off what the customer needs. Engagement is now something. Imagine now utility as such, or electricity companies. We have really contact once a year with customers. So imagine. In a couple, in a partnership, if you would meet somebody once a year or talk about the wrong bill. So this is not engagement. This is a really not even a relationship. So we have realized, engagement means really, a lot of contacts, per year or per day, and then with the quality and private data or personal data that is really of interest, and then becomes, something that engages you. If you're engaged in football, you probably watch football every week. You don't watch football once a year. So otherwise you're not engaged. So, and of course in digital, you have to do it conveniently because, really imagine any app you have on your phone, if it takes just too much time, it's not understandable. It's not kind of customer, easy to do something in the app and quickly solve the need, then the customers leave. They just delete the apps. So that's how we came to this equation that these 3 criteria are basically the key, and then it works. Then the customers stay and work with the app.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. And let's take a look at the last questions. I like the relationship metaphor, but if it's about sharing personal things, it should be reciprocal. What personal things does a company share with the customer?
Oof, that's a tough question.
Yeah, so give it to Andrej.
I give it to Andrej. What we share. But I think in a relationship, between the business and the customer, I think it's the metaphor with the personal couple. It's quite different because you really share. I think what is key from business to consumers, relationship is that yes, you talk about something very personal, the customer, and then the customer, you're very honest, and you are basically on customer side. Yeah? If it's automatic that you just want to sell something, and you just do it all for selling the products, then it doesn't work, and people feel it. That's why we're humans. We are quite good at it. So it really takes a lot of time, and as well with Electrozoom, it's a lot about getting the trust, and always, even though at the end you might be selling something, the first of the relationship is, help the customer really solve their problems, not to think of, how you make money on it. That's the key. If the customers trust you and you're really open in it, then you can think of making money in the future. But it doesn't start with profit. It starts with the relationship and being honest to the customer and helping their problems.
Okay, thank you very much, Miro. That was really nice and insightful. And we are going to move on to our panel discussion. But if you want to talk to Miro or Andrej and ask them some more questions, use our chat on the right part of the screen. So thank you very much, Miroslav, and thank you, Andrej.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.